Hey folks, how you doing? This is Wayne Pierce, Wayne S. Pierce for the American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. How are you? Are you good? Are you good? I mean, seriously, it's the 8th of May, 2017, and it's Monday. So, are you good? You know, I'm just saying. Lots of things going on. I had a few things to do today, but I had to cancel on those. There are certain things, and I want to talk about this in this first little bit here. There's a few things in a person's life where, I mean, I myself can look at something and go, wow, what's that all about? And then, research it and do all that. But some people, they look at stuff and they say, well, I don't want to see that because, or I'm not able to do that because, or those things are that way because, and basically they make up excuses. For many, well, not for many, but over the weekend, I kept thinking, well, okay, here's what I need to do, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized time management. And then I thought, that was like almost, an afterthought of I've got to figure out what, steps to take to do yada, 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 and this and that and the other thing. And I've been doing that for years, but a lot of it's been, I'll do this. Oh, wait, squirrel. You know what I mean? It's been that way. So finally over the weekend, I just said, you know what, here's what I want to do. And I've made a mental list of the things that I want to do. And I've made that list in such a way to where I leave or I don't have any excuses, and I leave all of the things that I've been distracted by or put in some way to where, it's just not right. Okay. I've left those things out of this. And I just, came down, there was a lot of things, but I came down with 3 things, and that was do what you love to do. And I love doing this. This is why I, encourage you guys to go out and look this stuff up, or I encourage you to, drop $1 in the kitty to keep the lights on around here on the website. And, I love doing this. This is my day job. This is what I do, okay? And I spend probably a good portion of my morning not only seeing stuff that I had put up the night before, or even, before recording the podcast, but also a little bit after, maybe an hour or so afterwards. So this is my day job. So I'm spending a good portion of my morning in the studio. So, and, it's fun. I love doing it, and I love bringing you the information. The second thing on the list was not only do what you love to do, but find those things that encourage you. And that includes staying away from toxic people, okay? And B, not accepting anyone who, not accepting anything anyone says that is literally going to bring you yourself down to a lower level than you are. In other words, stay positive. Stay on that level of, yes, I can do this. Yes, this can be done. I mean, because it works. I've seen it work. Okay, I've done it myself. And number 3, it's always good to remember that if you have a backup plan, you're always going to use it. Oh, now, let me give you a contrast to, you need something to fall back on. I'm sure you've heard that. Oh, you need something to fall back on. Well, if you have something to fall back on, you will. But here's what I mean by you got to have a backup plan. And that is, if there is something that you love to do, Make a way to where you can do it, for yourself, for other people, but also have a backup plan. Have a backup plan. Use it for a stepping stone to something else. You see what I'm saying? Never say, well, I've got to have something to fall back on just in case. Well, if you're not confident enough to carry on to do something you love to do, then why are you doing it? So this is what I thought about over the weekend, and I thought about how, people seem to, and I could be wrong in this. I could have overlooked something in this. But it seems to me that people seem to get the wrong idea about somebody who wants to do things their way, on their own, have their own business. Some people get the wrong idea. Right? And the idea is not all that, different from anybody else. But because your friends and your family look at you and say, well, you got to have, something to fall back on. They don't have confidence in you. But you have confidence in you. You know what you're doing. You have that ability to do what you love to do, right? So there you go. So when you look at yourself and say, what can I do about this? Remember one thing, and this is from my perspective, this is what I've done, so you guys can do, you find ways to do it, in a way that you do it. But always remember that the only person that's going to encourage you to continue doing what you love to do is you. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. You cannot get around that. When you look at yourself in the mirror, can you honestly say you're doing what you love to do? Can you honestly say that going to the office and hearing your boss tell you that you've got 3 or 4 files that you got to go through, or a stack of stuff on your desk that you got to go through by the end of the day, do you really love doing that? Or do you love painting? Or do you love, working with people, or with certified nursing assistants, or, childcare, or, the Boys and Girls Club, or, do you like working in a gym? It's like whatever it is, do you like working on cars? Do you like, all that? Do you like artwork? Would you rather wake up in the morning? Here's my point. Would you rather wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I got to go back there again? Or would you rather wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm doing what I love to do? So there's that whole thing that you've got. I mean, I've seen people do that. I've seen people make, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year in a business, as an employee, and they don't love what they do, but they're making the money, and they stick around, and I don't like this, but I'm making $50,000 a year, whatever. And I've had people tell me that I'm making good money. Why should I quit? I love doing that, but and if it's about the money, when you look at what you can do and put the initiative behind it and work at it and just keep going and going, right? You're going to make it. There's no other outcome to that. But if you're sitting there going, well, geez, I got to work at this place because, what would you rather do is my point. I love doing what I do here. This is really, really cool. I love it. It's great. And I've got a background in recording. I've been in studios. I've got a background in theater. I've got a background in entertainment. I've got a background in news gathering and research. So why not put the two together? You know what I mean? And I've been doing it for years. Not this particular format, but I've been doing it for years. And it's just, it's one of those things where you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you're going, I love what I do. Somebody once asked me, last year or year before last or something like that. Excuse me. Somebody asked me about, making money and at it and all this. And, it's not about that. You know what it's about? It's about the information. Now, with anything, you've got to support something that helps you, right? I mean, that's true. I mean, you've got to support something that helps you, and vice versa. You got to help somebody else or some other organization to help you, that kind of thing. And that's true with anything. Think about this. You can't hop in your car and drive around all over the place and all that without thinking about, wait a minute, I got to put gas in this thing. You know what I mean? Your car's going to run out of gas after a while, So you got to put gas in it, right? So consider American Liberty Radio Network as the car, and the information that I give you, the fuel. Well, there's so much that I can do with the information. I look at the information and go, is that newsworthy? Is that worthy enough to talk about? Or I look at it and go, ooh, I'm going to talk about this. So my point is basically your support for American Liberty Radio Network is crucial because it helps me gather additional information. Now, you got the internet. Yeah. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about that I found out over the weekend. And I've probably mentioned this before. And that is somewhere in the vicinity of about 45% of the information that you find, upwards to 45%, of the information that you see on the internet is bogus. It's disinformation, it's misinformation, it's bogus news sites, it's bogus, it's bogus. It doesn't mean anything. There's no credibility behind these sites. I mean, seriously, and I've looked at several of them, and I thought that they had some really, good news, and they were, very. But then, you know what you do? Here's what you do. Here's the perfect thing you do, and I've done this. You go to a site, and you go to the About section. You go to the About section. Now, you got to read between the lines because they're going to try to, deceive you in that as well. But you go there, and you read that. And you really have to do your research other than that. Is this site legitimate? Is this whatever, so you've got to find, the information that you require to say, yes, that site is legit. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to do the research. It takes a while. It's a little, it's a little time consuming. So you got to, do what you do. And it is one of those things where it's going to take up most of your time. It is. And and my whole point of all this intro is, in the last 15 minutes, is the fact that number one, you have to find something you love to do. You have to find something you love to do. And do it. I mean, if you want to be a cook, be the best damn cook in the freaking city. You know what I mean? That if you love doing that, that's what you need to do. But if you're working in an office, but you want to be a chef, well, and you don't love the office work, but you love being a chef, that kind of just tells you right there what you need to be doing. The basic point is do what you love to do. Don't take anybody else's bull crap and accept anything that they say. You know what you're able to do. You know what you're able to do. There's no question about that. You look at yourself in the mirror. You know what you're able to do. You know it. There's no question about it. You know what you're able to do. And so if you want to do something you love to do, you know your abilities to be able to do that. So go do it. You know, like I said, folks, this is my day job. And whatever you can do to support American Liberty Radio Network, I would appreciate it. Become a patron. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page right there in a big red box. It says, become a patron. Drop $1 in the kitty and help me keep the lights on around here. That's where it goes. I don't get any of that. I get squat. You want to help me keep the lights on around here? That's very much appreciated. You know, we're looking at upgrading, some equipment. Not much, but we're looking at upgrading that a little bit. We're looking at remodeling the studio a little bit. So, excuse me. If you can support the network, that would be great. And I'm looking for advertisers. So if you go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com and you go to the sponsors page, all of the information is right there. I can do on-air reads. Let me go there and I'll tell you what they are. Actually, no, you go there and check them out. Yeah, because I'm going to go to a website and give you some news. But go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page, and all the information is right there that you're looking for. All of it. Okay? Now, excuse me. One other thing before I get to the news, and that is a lot of people are looking at France right now. My question is, why are we looking at countries and looking at how they're structured and what they're doing and all of that, and not looking at our own? I mean, seriously. Okay? Why are we looking at other countries and not looking at our own? People are looking at France right now because, well, Macron, I think that's how you pronounce it, won the election in France over Le Pen. Basically, Europe surrenders to Islam. Macron bows to Merkel. Globalists get a major win in Macron's victory over Le Pen. Okay? There's a bunch of videos. I'm going to put that on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Speaking of which, folks, excuse me, tonight, I am going to have the truth experience at thetruthexperience.weebly.com. And I don't know what I'm going to cover yet. That's a while from now. That's basically at 7 o'clock Central Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Or did I say Central? Sorry, it's 7 p.m. Mountain Time. 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, come listen to The Truth Experience on the truthexperience.weebly.com site. And that's part of American Liberty Radio Network. That's the other thing I do, folks. I do that show. I do other things other than these types of shows. I have another network on here. I have another show on here called New West Radio Theater. And I do, I look for old-time radio shows. And I write my own. So if you want to help out with that, that's great too. Trump positioned for big win on Fannie and Freddie. That's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae. So, what's that all about? Jerome Corsi, Infowars.com, the 8th of May, 2017. The Treasury Secretary Mnuchin confirming the Infowars.com report revealing the Obama administration diverted profits from Fannie and Freddie to keep Obamacare afloat. President Trump is positioned for a big win regarding the two government-sponsored entities. Since the election, President Trump has received many letters from inner-city community leaders and pastors in the African-American community urging him to realize the importance of community banking to restore home ownership in minority communities throughout the nation. On the 1st of May 2017, President Trump invited a group of bankers from the Independent Community Bankers Association to the White House. Quote, "Community banks are the backbone of small business in America," unquote. Quote, "Many of you are the reason that young families can purchase their first homes, farmers can buy their next tractor, and entrepreneurs can open up their first business, creating many, many new jobs in our country," unquote. Putting this up on the American Liberty Radio podcast. I had some things to do this morning and not going to do them because, I find it more important. Well, there's a lot of things I'm going to do after after the show. I've got a couple of things to do here in the studio, but other than that, I got a few things to do outside of the studio. Yes, folks, I do get outside of the studio every once in a while because, I can. Yeah, that's the thing. Now, here's the lies that you will hear from the government when in regards to Obamacare, and which is going to be completely trashed here in the next month or so. Clifford Cunningham, Infowars.com, 8th of May 2017. Unreal. Obamacare architect Gruber blames Trump for rising premiums. Gruber once credited, quote, "stupidity of the American people," unquote, for passing Obamacare. Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber, who once credited the stupidity of the American voter for allowing the measure to pass Congress, blamed President Donald Trump for rising premiums and insurers exiting the system. No. Gruber, a professor of economics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, suggested rising premium costs are in fact a one-time increase in 2016 to cover what he called massive underpriced policies for the first 2 years following the law's passage in 2010. Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace pointed out to Gruber there is only one insurer participating in the state exchange across 94 of Iowa's 99 counties, noting that it is considering leaving the state as well. Quote, "Whose fault is that?" unquote. Gruber responded, quote, "Since President Trump has been elected, premiums are going up and insurers are exiting," unquote. Wallace interrupted. He said, quote, "Wait, you're going to blame the problems of Obamacare on President Trump," unquote. Gruber blamed President Trump's decision to cut the number of advertising days for Obamacare enrollment for Obamacare's rising prices and fewer policy options, arguing the decision, quote unquote, undercuts open enrollment. In other words, let's make it so difficult for people to know anything about it that because people need it, let's give them limited information and then jack the prices up. It's not the fault of President Trump. Sorry. Jonathan Gruber's an idiot. It's not the fault of President Trump. You know what it is? It's the fault of Obama and him stealing money from the taxpayers to fund that whole debacle. Excuse me. UK super rich got richer despite panic over Brexit. Anti-Brexit doomsayers wrong about financial impact of referendum. Macron made first first phone call as president to this leader, and it shows where his loyalties lie. Emmanuel Macron signaled his intention to deepen Franco-German ties at the heart of the EU as he made his first phone call as the new president-elect to Angela Merkel last night. Merkel, speaking of which, moves closer to fourth term in power after a decisive local election win. Globalist homewrecker picks up steam after state election. Excuse me. Little phlegmy thing going on there. The one thing that I've seen, in contrast to everything that's going on in politics between the 1980s and now, is the fact that back then, people in Congress had backbones. So did the president. Former Reagan administration official is warning of a financial collapse sometime between August and November. Well, they've been saying that for the last 6 years. Yeah, so, I mean, here's another loyalty misdirection, I would say, if that's such a phrase. Hillary Clinton ties herself to Macron's victory over Le Pen, attacks media. Clinton posted a tweet calling Macron's election a victory over the world, or a victory for the world. Well, same thing. Now, I'm going to say this before I go to break. I'm going to put this out here. I'm just going to lay it out here for people. I'm just going to let you chew on this for a while mentally. And I encourage you to go look this stuff up. There's not one thing in this world that means more to people than freedom and liberty. Let me preface it by saying that. With that said, there are people out there who are going to come against you in any way, shape, or form by any means necessary to stop you from having that freedom and liberty. When you get a backbone and when you start investigating and researching what they are and who they are and where their loyalties lie, you will see they're going to stop at nothing to suppress everybody in the world and bring them down to the category of being slaves. Because that's what they want. That's the Democratic Socialist, that's the Republican Fascist, that's the Merkels of the world, that's the Macrons of the world. They want everybody to bow down to them. My question to you is, why are you allowing it? You know, even smaller countries like Iraq or Iran and the people are really pissed off at what's going on. Why don't the people just come together and do what they have to do? Why not? Is it because somebody has a bigger gun? Is it because somebody has, ways to suppress the freedom fighters? Is it, and don't get me started on that phrase, but How are we going to sleep at night when we know we allowed this stuff to happen? And that's a good question. How are we going to sleep at night when we know that we've allowed all of this to happen? So what are we going to do to stop it? How are we going to change these things, folks? How? How are we going to do this? Taking a break. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
Everybody, this is Brian Lang with Live Truth Radio and TV. You're listening to Wayne S. Pierce with American Liberty Radio.
shattering the lies and the disinformation. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Smashing through the lies of the mainstream media, tearing down the walls of misinformation.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
Shattering the foundations of the new world order.
To bring China into the creation of a new world order.
The truth, the facts, no bullshit.
In this new world, such dangerous currents have swept along faster than our efforts to contain them. And that is why we cannot afford to be divided.
The American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
For more information, go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com or email them at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back. It's the 8th of May, 2017. This is American Liberty Radio Network. American Liberty Radio on Spreaker.com. At American Liberty Radio on Gab.ai. And AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Folks, let me get into the news here while I try to get this phlegmy stuff out of my throat there, you know what I mean. French leftists staying home could lead to Le Pen win. Well, we know that didn't happen. Now, let me go to, and I usually go to Infowars.com, but let me go to, Breitbart.com. Okay. Warren Buffett, free trade has turned American workers into roadkill. That's what Warren Buffett said. Warren Buffett's a pretty damn, wealthy man. His comments on American workers echoed the remarks of President Donald Trump in his inaugural speech in January, which described a landscape of American carnage. Let's go take a look at this. This is on Breitbart.com. I'll put this up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Warren Buffett thank you, John Carney over at Breitbart. Warren Buffett likened American workers who have seen their jobs in factories destroyed by global trade to animals slaughtered by cars and trucks on the highway. Quote, nobody should be roadkill. Unquote. Buffett said Saturday at a festival-like annual meeting of the Berkshire Hathaway in Omaha, Nebraska. Excuse me. The billionaire, Warren Buffett's a billionaire, folks. The billionaire who supported Barack Obama and backed Hillary Clinton in 2016 election now sounds almost Trumpish. His comments on American workers echoed the remarks of President Donald Trump in his inaugural speech in January, which described a landscape of American carnage where closed factories are, quote-unquote, scattered like tombstones. Toward the end of the question and answer session with Buffett and his longtime sidekick Charlie Munger, investor Whitney Tilson asked if businesses should consider the fates of millions of Americans displaced by trade and technology instead of focusing solely on maximizing shareholder value. Buffett argued that free trade was a benefit to the economy at large, but that politicians needed to, quote, take care of the people who become roadkill, unquote. And that wasn't the first time Buffett has used the phrase. Back in February, he more or less gave this material a test run on CNBC's Squawk Box. I'll let you read that. It's on Breitbart.com. I'll put that on American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. I noticed that Facebook and others and all that are, if you have pictures of dogs and cats and all of this, and you have, poetry and art and all that, oh yeah, you'll get a bunch of hits on Facebook. Your page will get a bunch of likes. But you put, things like InfoWars or Rush Limbaugh or Mark Levin or Michael Savage or anything on there, yeah, you're not going to get the hits. Now, I also want to tell you what else is happening around the country. Bob Price writes for Breitbart.com, exclusive sanctuary cities subject to quote-unquote stiffest penalties in America, says Texas Governor. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said law enforcement and other officials implementing sanctuary policies that release criminal aliens with immigration detainers will now be subject to the stiffest penalties in America. He also rebutted the hype and fear-mongering being spread by some legislators, liberal chiefs of police and sheriffs and media outlets. Abbott's comments came during an exclusive interview with Breitbart Texas immediately following his signing of the historic bill that effectively outlaws sanctuary jurisdictions in the Lone Star State. The new law creates civil and criminal penalties for those who refuse to cooperate with immigration officials and provides for jail time for a sheriff or police chief who releases a criminal alien subject to an immigration detainer. He also took the opportunity to counter the claims that it is a show-me-your-papers law and is somehow unconstitutional. Democrat legislators and the left-of-center Texas news outlets claims about the constitutionality of a provision in the law allowing police officers to inquire about the immigration status of someone they have detained drew pointed criticism from the governor. In an article published on the 29th of April in the Dallas Morning News, State Representative Rafael Anchia, Democrat of Dallas, said SB 4 is unconstitutional because states are preempted by federal law in an area of immigration and are not permitted to conduct their own investigation. Quote, the Supreme Court struck down most of the provisions of the Arizona immigration law on this basis, unquote. Abbott told Breitbart Texas this article, quote, directly misstated what the legal status of this law was out of the U.S. Supreme Court in the Arizona decision, unquote. Quote, the so-called controversial part of this law is what some label as the show your papers component, the Texas governor explained. And what, quote, and what everyone seems to get wrong is they think that that provision was stricken down in the Arizona law. To the contrary, the provision in the Arizona law is stricter than the Texas law. The Arizona law required that law enforcement ask for papers. The Texas law does not require it. It allows it, so there is that one difference, unquote. It allows it. While the Arizona law had the provision in there that says that the police and the law enforcement could ask about their immigration status. I'm going to put that on American Liberty Radio Podcast as well, because there's more to it, obviously. You know my feelings on immigration. I'm pro-legal immigration. Yeah, people can come here if they want. I'm fine with that. Do it legally. Do it legally. If you can't do it legally, we're going to stop you. That's just the way it is. Breitbart is also reporting, Breitbart Jerusalem is reporting, Israeli minister, quote, Israel is not the United Nations, unquote, punching bag anymore, unquote. The Jerusalem Post reports, still fuming about UN Resolution 2334, which passed in December just before Donald Trump became U.S. president. Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked told attendees at the Jerusalem Post annual convention in New York on Sunday that Israel has a partner in the Trump administration in fighting all illegal UN resolutions. Quote, Israel is not the United Nations punching bag anymore, unquote, she said, calling Resolution 2334, which declared the settlements, including the settlement blocks, illegal, quote, nothing more than anti-Semitism and delegitimization of Israel, unquote. I'll let you folks go check that one out. Now, this is on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Speaking of American Liberty Radio Network, want to help out? Want to help me keep the lights on around here? Thank you very much. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page. Advertising rates are right there. That's what I charge. Also, if you want to become a patron and drop $1 into Kitty to keep the lights on around here, that'd be cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Also, about the website. Excuse me. I don't put enough blogs on there. So I'm going to change that whole section, and what I'm going to do is have that be like a news aggregate. I'm going to try to find a way to put news, up there as somehow I can go in and do it myself. I know how to do that. But that's one of the things, folks. That's something else I wanted to mention in the last segment. That was what I wanted to talk about was the fact that by you helping out American Liberty Radio Network, I can get a webmaster that does all that stuff for me. Okay. I can pay to have a better looking website, more efficient operating website with all the key features that you love and enjoy on websites. And that's what I'm looking for, folks, is a webmaster. So American Liberty Radio Network is AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page. Help out if you can. I mean, I know it's tough, folks. I know it's tough. That's why I got to become a patron there for $1 a month. $1 a month, folks. $1 a month. Okay. Yeah. There you go. But if you want to put more, that's okay, because we're expanding around here in the network. So, I mean, that's, when I say we, it's like what do I got, a mouse in my pocket or something? What do I got? Everything's changing, and by the end of the summer, I will let you know how those changes are. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I'll give you this. You help out, and by the end of June, I will tell you, and I will give the credit if you become a patron. I will tell the listeners who you are by first name only, if you so choose for me to do that. Or I can just blanket the statement and just say, thank you everybody that supported this network. I can probably do that too. But see, I want you to get the credit for helping out American Liberty Radio Network. I want you to be known to support peace, freedom, liberty, and security in this nation. And independent and alternative media. This is listener supported, folks. I mean, I've got resources that help me keep the broadband up, but I don't. That's slowly going away at this point. Okay. Like I said before, I got resources, but they're dwindling pretty darn quick at this point. Okay. So, if you want to help out, that's okay. That is entirely up to you. Okay. Entirely up to you. You can support the network. You don't have to. You can share it. Hey, if you want to share the network, you can do that. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook and share that page as well. You can do that. If you want to support independent media and get the truth and the facts out there, that's entirely up to you. You want to support American Liberty Radio Network, that's entirely up to you. Okay? I'm just, there it is. You go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com, go to the sponsors page. If you want to advertise on the network, you can. You can do that. That's great. I would love it. It's a win-win situation for both of us anyway, if you advertise on the network. Or if you just want to become a patron and drop $1 in the kitty there, that'd be great. That's up to you. Entirely up to you. I know how difficult it is. When I get outside of the studio and I start talking to people, I know how difficult it is, because every month rolls around and when you start getting those bills in the box, you know what I mean? It's like, you're going, okay, another month, So I completely understand how it is. So consider supporting American Liberty Radio Network. If you would please, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Hey, go check out a friend of mine, Mr. Tom Slick over at Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. If you are an independent musician, independent author, independent filmmaker, Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz is your place to go to promote all of that, to get the word out that you are one of those three. Okay? Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Mr. Tom Slick over there has a show called The Morning Brew. Check that out, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK. Go check him out, Mr. Tom Slick, on The Morning Brew, right there on Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Go to 926theblitz.rocks, 926theblitz.rocks. Tell him I sent you. Yeah. I don't know what you'll get for that, but tell them American Liberty Radio Network and Wayne S. Pierce sent you over there. So there you go. Also, go check out Mr. Brian Lang over at Live Truth Radio and TV at livetruthradio.com. Check him out as well. And Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Check it out. It's here on American Liberty Radio Network. It's also at distortedreality.podbean.com. I think it's still there. He had to take a little hiatus, had to take a little break, because when you're doing this stuff and you're doing the research and you're spending hours and you're not, doing the research and you're not spending a whole lot of time with your family and spending a lot of time getting out and about into the city and enjoying life, it kind of makes you a little stir crazy. So, kind of makes you a little, But anyway, no, I like the guy. I like Nick Tucker. Go check him out. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on gab.ai. That's, go to @DistortedRealityNT on gab.ai. That's another social networking website. And I'll tell you what, man, whole lot better than Facebook. Okay, they don't censor you. Go to minds.com as well. MINDS.com, minds.com. That's another good website to go to. So what do we do, folks? What do we do? I mean, here we are. I mean, seriously, folks, here we are. We're in an environment that is so volatile. We're in an environment, and even people around the world that listen to my show, that play this show, we're in an environment in the United States specifically that is so politically volatile that I don't know when. I mean, the fuse has been lit, folks. We're just waiting for the big kaboom, okay? The political foundation in the United States of America right now is so destructive, so fragile, that I'm just waiting for kaboom. You know what I don't want to see it. I hope things get better in the next 6 months to a year, but I can tell you this much. It's not gonna look good. I've got information, and I'm not going to share what I know as of right now, but I will say this. Pay attention to what happens with the Republican fascists and the Democratic socialists in Congress, and the rhinos and the linos and the dinos. And yeah, that's Republican in name only, Libertarian in name only, and Democrat in name only. So just watch them. And I mean, look at people like Schumer. Look at people like, McConnell. Look at people like Paul Ryan. I can't give you any more information except to say just watch these folks. Okay? I mean, that's a broad brush. That's a broad brush to paint with. I understand that. I'm being very vague because I've got details that I don't want to share just yet. And I'm just letting you know that in the next 6 months to a year, you just watch these people. Okay? So now let me go here. Let me go here to World News on Infowars.com. Merkel moves closer to fourth term in power after decisive local election win. Yes. Let's take a look at that, shall we? Daily Express. Who are they? I was telling you that in the last segment. Look at the websites, find out who these people are. What are these people talking about? How are these people structured, these websites? Is this fake news? Is this misinformation? Is this, you name it. Ask the question. Okay? I hate when videos start all by themselves. Now, who is Angela Merkel? Who is she? Chancellor Angela Merkel's conservatives hope to form a coalition with the liberal Free Democrats and the Greens in Schleswig-Holstein after a decision election victory in the North German state on Sunday. This is from the 8th of May, 2017. Published on the express.co.uk. Express.co.uk. I'll put this link on American Liberty Radio Podcast. I'll let you guys read it and check it out. Question is, folks, what's Europe right now? This is why I say America's on this financial, we're financially broken, folks. We're financially broken. You understand that? I mean, well, geez, we're doing just fine. We got this, we got that. Have you gone to usdebtclock.org yet? Huh? Have you gone there yet? It's really simple, folks, to take a look at everything that's around you, and just common sense tells you what works and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Now, I was going to go rant for about 5 minutes, but I'm not going to, and I'll tell you why. It serves no purpose. It serves no purpose. There's no reason why I need to rant. Yeah, you can hear me bitch and complain and moan and groan and do all that. But why? It just doesn't... So let me go here. from consjournal.com, CONSjournal.com. WikiLeaks ties John McCain to Russian money trail. There you go. I'm going to put that one on there. Oh, no, that is on there on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Go check that out. Just scroll on down. It'll say WikiLeaks ties John McCain to Russian money trail. And there's another one you can scroll down, and it'll say 7 reasons to remind people why they should avoid drinking the vaccine Kool-Aid. I'm anti-vax, folks. DNC to court. This is the Democratic National Committee to the court. We are a private corporation with no obligation to follow our rules. That's there too as well. Okay. Folks, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go away in about a couple of minutes, but I want to give you this piece of information. When we look out at the world, when we look out at what is out there, when we examine the very nature of politics, when we examine the very nature of what politics is, you will find that most people will side with those who understand that most of the politicians are full of BS. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care what party you will affiliate yourself with. You will see this. But you will also see a small percentage of these political lemmings propagate, I should say not propagate, but they report on these things that are, pretty much found to be misinformation, disinformation. They try to pull the wool over your eyes, is what I'm trying to say. These small percentages of these little people, and I say little people in terms of, Democratic, Socialist, Fascist, Republicans, and their people that they pay to get the word out. These minions of these politicians are dishing out disinformation, is my point. And the vast majority of the people know that it's all BS. They know it. They know it. They understand it. This is why most people are looking for politicians and other groups that want peace, freedom, liberty, and security in the United States of America and support that. And if you in another country want peace, freedom, liberty, and security for your nation, you better start speaking out. But, we don't want to speak out because they're going to come down. Look at American history, the beginnings of this country. People spoke out. And look where we are 240 years later. I know it's not all that great right now, but people had courage enough to get out and do what they needed to do. And I know you're courageous enough to do the same. American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com, American Liberty Radio @USA.com, website and email respectively. And I will talk to you folks later. American Liberty Radio on Spreaker.com, sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.